Welcome back, Jayhawks. Excited for another week of interviews here with alums from our program. I'm joined by Annie Giangrosso, a 2008 undergrad of KU Sport Management. She's now the Senior Manager of Rules and Competition for the LPGA. So we're going to ask her a few questions about her path and how she got to where she's at. So maybe, Annie, just walk us through your path from being a student athlete to KU to now you're doing your internship and now your current role on the Pro Golf Tour.
Yeah, so like you played golf through my 4 years at KU, and then I would imagine I had to have an internship to complete my degree. Graduated in May. I had an internship with the American Junior Golf Association lined up, and I was able to get the amount of hours that I needed in the I was working at the AJGA, just simply by the hours that we put in over the weeks. So I was able to join an intern team there. There were 6 or 7 of us, and we traveled. Our team was in the Southeast, so we traveled all over the Southeast, assisting in these junior golf events with the help of 2 full-time employees at the AJGA. I did that for a few months, made my way back to Kansas City, but before my way back to Kansas City after the internship, was offered a full-time job at AJGA. So hung out in Kansas City for a little while after that, and then moved out to Atlanta as a tournament director for the American Junior Golf Association. That would have been at the start of 2009. So I did that. My job responsibilities there as a tournament director, that was about half of my job. It was A to Z event planning. On the golf side, it was, hotel blocks. It was securing, comped food for meals for the intern teams. It was finding medics, kind of coordinating volunteers, a lot of relationships at the club, host club, and things like that. The other half of my job at that point was more of like an assistant role, and I would actually be working outside. So very similar to what I do now, marking the golf courses, kind of diving into the rules of golf. And so those couple of things made up my job from 2009 to 2012. I took a pretty strong liking to the rules of golf. Like a lot of other industries, we did have a test. The USGA and the PGA of America have a rules test. I was lucky enough to do really well on that. And a couple of years into the AJGA, I applied for a job that was probably out of my league a little with the LPGA, but the AJGA was amazing in that it always wanted to be a stepping stone of your future in the game. So I went ahead, I applied for the job. I actually got the interview at the LPGA, ended up not being the person they selected, but was able to kind of network in and keep my contacts there. And I was lucky enough to be able to work a qualifying school, or Q school as we call it. I think it was 2011 that I did that. My boss at the time at the AJGA was all about me going down to kind of, get my feet wet in that and see if it was something that I wanted to continue to do. My now boss ended up calling one Sunday evening, asking if I still had any interest in coming over to the LPGA, and that they had a job on the Symetra Tour, which is similar to the Korn Ferry Tour. It's our developmental, the LPGA owns, and we call it the Road to the LPGA. So, basically, grooming these players kind of as they come out of college, to get to the LPGA. So a lot of the things that you see on the LPGA Tour, the Symetra is doing, just a little bit more condensed. So I was able to do that for a couple of years. I went out to the Symetra Tour after the AJGA as a rules and competition, or in the rules and competition department. So I was there for a couple of years. And that job, or my job now, really focuses on what we would consider inside the ropes. So anything from, again, marking golf courses to coordinating with superintendents, host club, the tournament organizers, and just being that liaison from, the LPGA to coordinate kind of with those tournament organizers. So I was at the Symetra Tour for a couple of years, and then got promoted up to the LPGA, which is where I am now. am doing the same thing essentially, just on a much bigger scale. Also on the Rules of Golf Committee, which has afforded me some pretty cool opportunities, and just continuing to, be the front line there for our players. So that was kind of my path in a nutshell. But yeah, happily, on the LPGA tour, just waiting to get back out there.
So when we do get back out there, what's your typical day-to-day for a tournament, let's say from Monday to Sunday?
Yeah, sure. A couple of different scenarios. Typically, when I'm just traveling in for a tournament and it's not my advanced tournament, I'll travel in on a Monday. We kind of have a standing meeting Tuesday morning, and then after that meeting where everybody kind of gets caught up with each other, we're headed out to the golf course to check everything out. As rules and competition people, we're looking for anything that's going to affect the players during their round. So we're taking a look at all the markings that the advanced official has done. We're looking for any ground under repair, anything like that. We're also looking at like the big structures, right? Your grandstands, hospitality tents, construction, any construction that's on the golf course, TV towers, TV trucks, TV booths, cranes, anything like that, a player will encounter throughout their round. We're just making sure that under the rules of golf, that our players would be able to navigate that, or, if they call us in, that we're able to make a ruling based on that kind of stuff. So that's Tuesday. We do pairings. We do a lot of admin work on Tuesday and Wednesday. Wednesday is also our Pro-Am day. So very important day for our sponsors, where they can get out there and mingle with our players, have a good time, hopefully. And then Thursday, usually at the crack of dawn, we are playing golf. Thursday and Friday are sun up to sundown. My role during that day is to be on the golf course, monitoring pace of play. We are pretty aggressive when it comes to that. And then, that's a majority of my job Thursday through Sunday is pace of play. And then obviously handling any rulings that get called in to be able to assist our players to continue the round, essentially. So have any questions that they have, we are able to answer that, and really just kind of monitor what is going out, on the golf course. Saturday and Sunday, we usually cut, to the, about half the field. And Saturday and Sundays are our big days, especially Sunday, obviously, to be able to hit that TV window. So that's where we, our pace of play policy, really kind of shows its teeth at times, just trying to make sure that we optimize, getting our players in that TV window for our sponsors, giving them as good a broadcast as we can.
So you talked about rules, pace of play. There's been a lot of debate over the last 5 to 10 years about golf and how it needs to change, or if it needs to change. But all those debates have largely been around the men's side of golf. What do you see in the future of golf, maybe the next 5 to 10 years, both recreationally, professionally, from your position?
Yeah, so it's, on the men's side, I think a lot of, and rightfully so, I mean, they obviously bring in a ton of money. Professionally, what do I see in the next 5 to 10 years? I see the men's game especially, and I feel like the LPGA is already there. The men's game is going to become much more global than it is. I think you're already seeing it. We're now an Olympic sport, which is pushing federations and countries to put in a ton of money to their development programs, just like they would any other Olympic sport. So we're now seeing that in golf, which is really cool. Additionally, the LPGA has been doing it for 20, 25 years, being this global organization.
Right.
The men's tour is now dipping into that. So you'll see that they play the CJ Cup in Korea. They play the Zozo in Japan. We've been in Japan for 30 years. And I would say a majority of a very large chunk of our revenue comes from Asian TV rights. The men are starting to dip into that. You're seeing that at the NBA with their leagues in China.
Right.
So I think the professional game is going to become much more global from the domestic perspective, right? So I think now people that maybe never paid attention to the European tour, now that the PGA tour is going to go over, especially to those, countries in Asia, I think a lot more people are going to take notice of just how global this game is. So from the professional standpoint, I think it's going to become a worldwide viewing audience if it hasn't already.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the recreational side, it's always hard because I think the comments are valid, right? It takes too much time to play. It's
Right.
very expensive. They don't necessarily cater to everybody. I do think that you're going to see, and we've seen it already kind of with some of these lower end private clubs, they're getting away from the, well, this is where the husband goes to,
Right.
kind of get away. All the country clubs now, or a majority of the country clubs, are catering to the entire family. So I think you're going to see more of that. I also think you're going to see, we've got a great example here in Atlanta at Bobby Jones, a golf course that takes up not even half of the footprint of a regular golf course. So think the Jayhawk Club or Eagles Landing. And there's going to be a ton of options, right? So no matter what skill level you are, you're going to be comfortable out there. They've got 12 different teen grounds, and it's very relaxed. I think a lot of the times the rules of golf do kind of get in the way of a lot of things. It makes it feel stuffier than it should be. Golf courses like Bobby Jones here in Atlanta are pretty lax about that kind of stuff. You just tee up wherever you feel like. And you just go after it. And it should be fun. So I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see a condensed version of golf. I think you're going to see a more affordable version of golf, a quicker version of golf. The makeup of it, I think, is going to look a little different in 5 to 10 years. For the LPGA, something that we are very proud of is the largest growing demographic in golf is girls 15 to 18, and so I think the demographic is going to change a little bit. I'm not sure if we're ever going to get rid of everything that golf ever was. But I do think that we are on the way to make it a little bit more contemporary, a little bit cooler, hopefully a little bit more affordable and a little bit more accessible. So we'll see. It should be an interesting time in the next 5 to 10 years. Obviously, the rules of golf changed January 2019 to a more comprehensive approach, more player-friendly approach.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully these things that the USGA and the RNA are doing will contribute to all those things.
Very interesting. So for our students that are interested in working in golf, what's unique about that space, and what are some skills or things they should think about when they want to get into that area?
The biggest thing that I would take away, or want to know if I was getting into golf is, well, do you have to be a player, or do you have to know golf to be able to get into it? And simply the answer is no. When I was at the American Junior Golf Association, some of the best tournament directors that we had never picked up a club. I think so at some levels it is very event planning oriented. And almost anybody can get into that. I think there is, again, we talk about some of these traditions and the stuffiness of it. When you work an event or you work at an event, there are not many people that are on the competition side, and those are reserved, for people that have had competitive experience or, kind of do those deep dives into the rules. There are a lot of opportunities from the event planning side, the operations side, sponsor side. There are vast number of jobs and opportunities, internships that are not golf related. So if you have a business management degree or hospitality degree, there's room for you in the golf industry. We definitely have, we have whole departments dedicated to sponsor facing jobs. So it's not just golf as the world knows the sport. There's a whole other world behind some of these big events. So you look at something like the KC Classic, just get your foot in the door. That's the biggest thing, I would say, for anybody looking to get into the golf industry. All you need is a foot in the door, and then you can, like a lot of other industries, kind of find your way after that, see what really interests you.
Great. Let's shift gears just a little bit. What's one influential thing you've read or listened to or watched lately that might be helpful for people wanting to get into sports?
I'll plug our commissioner Mike Wan. I think he's one of the best commissioners in professional sports. He did a podcast with No Laying Up. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them,
Yeah, I
but
am. Yep.
they are. I love anything that they do. But a couple weeks ago, he went on the podcast just to kind of talk through some of the decisions that have to be made, kind of in this pandemic state of the world. So it was very interesting, and I think gives good perspective to people that maybe don't realize some of the ramifications of not being on live TV, of our players without good sponsors. Our players are making no money. They don't even have an opportunity. So some of just the thought processes of, hey, we said we were going to start in May. That's not going to happen. We're pushing back to June. What does that look like financially for the tour? Right. And what are the decisions behind deciding something like that, or what are the ramifications of deciding something like that?
Very cool. All right, let's end with 5 rapid fire questions here. You ready?
Cool. Yeah.
All right, first one's easy. Lowest 18-hole score you've shot in a competition?
69.
TV or movie show you've watched the most times?
Ooh, TV or show, man. Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. Back to my childhood. We watched it a ton. I don't know why. I'm not sure if it was like the only movie that my dad owned, but we watched it a ton.
I was not expecting that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Most embarrassing shot you've hit in a competition?
I one time hit a playing partner in the back of her thigh. I shanked like a sand wedge out at OP one day. I was in high school, so that was quite embarrassing. Yeah.
Nice. One tip for students to be effective communicators via email?
Be direct, be concise, always use, good punctuation, good grammar. I think that goes a long way in today's world.
Thing you miss the most about Lawrence?
Obviously Mass Street, the basketball games, the people, the tiny blue dot in a sea of red. It's an awesome town, and just walking on campus. I mean, it's peaceful, but it's energetic. Can't say enough good things about that place.
Thanks, Tony.
I miss Jefferson's. Yeah.
I miss Jefferson's right now too. Yeah. I could go for some wings right now. Definitely.
Seriously.
Well, thanks a ton. This is great.
No problem.
Stay safe, stay healthy, Rock Chalk.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.